Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I'm reading Catching Fire. This is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I'm reading the book and giving you my thoughts on each chapter in groups of two. Hope you enjoy. Greetings, this is going to be my second attempt at this video. I actually had made paper notes on about 6 more chapters of Catching Fire, and they were inadvertently destroyed, lost, or trashed. So I had to go back and reskim those chapters and remake my notes. Hopefully they are a little more concise this time, but I now have had the luxury of thinking through 6 chapters instead of just 2. I'll also say I tried to film out in a forest preserve today, just kind of get some different background, but it was way too windy and the audio was crap, so... Alright, so Chapter 3 opens with Katniss having just talked to the President before the Victory Tour, and I was slightly confused twice by this chapter because it starts off saying that she could smell blood on his breath. Now, I wasn't sure if she was just being literal or if she was being figurative there, so I went back and reread the end of Chapter 2, and then I read a little farther in Chapter 3, and even in the next chapter, she again talks about blood whenever she sees the President. So I'm not sure if this is the physical scent of blood or if she just has this idea that the President is going to cause pain to the people, or both. So if anyone knows the full answer of that, give me your opinion in the comments. Katniss is stunned, obviously, by the revelation that we had in the last chapter. Basically, you know, she thought that when she got through the games it was going to be over. Then she was realizing that, you know, she's got to deal with her celebrity and all this other stuff. And now she's, again, reinforced that the Capitol's just not done with her. Over the past 6 months, she has been building up her relationship with her mom, which was good, if you ask me. And, you know, after she gets through this point, she realizes that because the Capitol's not done with her, they're not done with the fake relationship with Peeta. And she kind of, you know, starts figuring out what's going on, that there's an she could be causing an uprising by her actions. And she tries to figure out who she can confide in without rocking their world and also, you know, not putting them in more danger. And she finally figures out that the only person she can really trust with this is Haymitch. So I thought that was pretty interesting because, as we know, Haymitch is still drunk and surly, etc. She's been hunting. She goes out. You know, she talks about going to the lake where her father used to take her. This is really her only private place. She hasn't taken Gale there. I think she said she hasn't taken him there at all. Alright, and then I made a note here that I'm not exactly sure what it says. Strange highlights, okay people. So I don't know what I meant by that, but her prep team arrives. And she basically, we are alerted to something called the Quarter Quell. Now, this is something that happens every 25 years, basically in a celebration of when the Capitol quelled the first uprising, or put down the first uprising. And there are typically, or at least as far as Katniss has been told, because she's not old enough to have seen one of these before, that there are special challenges and obstacles in the Quarter Quell. One of the Quarter Quells, they actually had double the number of tributes than normal. So the Capitol likes to be very nasty and remind people, you know, here's a big celebration for the Capitol, but here's nasty stuff for the districts to keep them in line. And we find out that Haymitch is the one who won the last Quarter Quell 25 years ago, in the 50th anniversary of the games. This is the one that Haymitch won, so it's a really big deal. We also find out that Haymitch's last name is Abernathy. I'm pretty sure we have not found that out before. And interestingly enough, over the first half of this book, we pretty much find out very quickly what the last names of all the primary characters and some of the secondary characters are, which I thought was interesting. So I wonder if Suzanne Collins had gotten some feedback when she wrote the first book, that she needed to add the last names of the people. Now, back to the Quarter Quell, the teachers in Katniss' school, they cover, obviously, the Hunger Games, but they did not they did not talk too much about the Hunger Games when the quarter quell happened where Haymitch won. And she now realizes this is odd because they do have so much coverage of these Hunger Games. You would think that within District 12, District Pride, you would want to hear more about their hero. But they didn't go into details. And now so she's starting to wonder, like, what really happened in that year. I also liked in this chapter, we find out that in order to get ready for the victory tour, her mom is the one to braid her hair. Even though they have these, very high-powered stylists, they can't do the braid, that classic District 12 braid in Katniss's hair. We also find out that Katniss has been having a phone relationship or been talking to Cinna a lot on the phone and basically trying to figure out what her talent would be, because every tribute after they come out of the games and, exhibit their physical talents in the games, they now have to kind of have a talent in real life that is followed by the rest of the districts, and it becomes sort of part of their character, right? So her talent, apparently they've chosen to be in clothing design, and she is obviously not have a passion for that, but they're trying to build one in her because they couldn't think of any other talent outside of the games, which seems strange because she's obviously very well-rounded. I mean, they can't say that hunting illegally is her talent, but I'm sure they could have found something else. Peeta's got painting and other things. The rest of this chapter is pretty much a series of staged interviews and camera angles and just sort of this background look into the hype of a celebrity. We do find out that there's kind of a throwaway note that Haymitch doesn't like to sleep while it's dark out, so that's one of the reasons he sleeps during the day and he's up all night. And we basically find out that, or again, it's reiterated that, this is not the end for Katniss. She's going to have to pretend and basically, revisit this relationship with Peeta year after year after year, and this isn't going to go away. So in Chapter 4, the discussion jumps to marriage. So Katniss kind of realizes that, not only is she going to have to keep kissing Peeta now and again, and President Snow wants to up her game, and she pretty much figures out that she's going to have to marry Peeta, which I feel like it's still a little too early for her to jump to that conclusion, or I guess I might be speaking just from my own personal perspective. But it seems, and there's something later in these chapters that actually reinforces this. But it seems like she's kind of locking herself into this path, even though she hasn't really found out, what the ways out might be. So she starts thinking of different escape plans. Should she just disappear into the woods? Well, she'd have to take her family with her, and then, but that would leave Gale and his family in danger, so she'd have to take them with. She starts going through all these different escape plans, but I think she knows she wants to escape in her mind, and that is being cemented there, and now she's going to process what that means to her. So the victory tour begins. District 11 is basically going to be the first stop on the tour. They typically do them in descending order, so that in normal year, District 12 would be first, then 11 all the way to the capital. There's I was kind of grossed out, I guess, by this whole discussion of leg hair. Apparently, the folks in the districts don't shave their legs, or, I'm assuming their armpits, etc., and they felt they needed to go into that. Now, as a guy, obviously, I don't shave. I mean, I've got plenty of arm hair and body hair, but for a woman I know what it's like from hearing my wife and other women talk about, this topic, so this was a really interesting perspective to read about. And then Peeta apologizes to her. Peeta basically says, I'm sorry we've been distant. I know what's been happening. It's rough, blah, blah, blah. But he just comes across very sincere, and, it takes Katniss by surprise. And they actually start to get along a little bit better. We find out that Katniss's favorite color is green, which is awesome. I've always really identified with Katniss because of her love of the woods and the bow. And the green color just sort of cements it, whereas Peeta's color is orange, which is interesting as well. She realizes some things that he's done in the past have had orange highlights, like some of the cake decorations or cookie decorations that she's had, and now she realizes why it's orange. So it's just building these characters in a really nice way. She looks at Peeta's paintings, and she gives him a very honest answer when he asks what she thinks of them. She basically says she hates them. They give her nightmares, even though she then says, the quality is good, but I hate them. So they go into a discussion of their nightmares from the games, and later we'll find out that Peeta sleeps soundly even though he has nightmares, whereas Katniss's nightmares are a little more obvious. The train pulls into District 11, and it is very heavily fortified. There's a giant wall with barbed wire, much higher than the one around District 12, and it's huge. This is a big, sprawling, spread-out district. It's obviously the agriculture district, but it's very different than District 12. Now, when they're in this district itself, it sounds more like a wider spread area, and I'm thinking this has got to be somewhere down south, like Florida or maybe Georgia or something, where they've got orange trees and stuff. I think I speculated on that in book 1 as well, but I'm just struck again by the vast empty distances between the districts, and it's almost like pick 12 cities in the United States, and those are the only 12 cities that exist now. Everything else in between is wilderness, and they're connected by these trains, and the capital is somewhere in Colorado and has their thumb over all of this stuff through technology, it seems, and it's just but in between, it's just such a contrast that just really it's almost oversimplified that they're in these imprisoned districts so far away from the capital. Peeta gives away during one of their speeches, he basically commits to District 11 that every year 1 month of their winnings will be given to District 11 in thanks for the help that was given to Katniss. And then Katniss, realizes that she's been being quiet and afraid to say anything because she doesn't want to start anything. But Katniss gets up and she basically thanks the district as well. And the entire crowd gives her a salute that was clearly pre-planned. And she is just filled with this feeling of dread because, oh crap, I just did something that now the Capitol is definitely not going to like. And sure enough, this sort of, I won't say a riot, but peacekeepers come in and execute the man who started the salute, and it's witnessed by Peeta and Katniss, and there's other gunshots that happen, and this will all be edited out of the footage that's shown on the broadcast feed, but the folks who were there know that this is getting serious now. So that's it for chapters 3 and 4 of Catching Fire. See you next time.